You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. Jennings here. Excited to have you here on this beautiful day and excited about the show. We've been getting a ton of feedback, lots of reviews, lots of people reaching out to us or me and connecting on Facebook and Instagram and whatever and talking to me about what a certain episode meant to them. And that's because you guys are sharing it and letting other people know about it. And I appreciate that. I really do. I want to connect with you. So if you shoot me a message, I'll respond. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, if I can help you, if I can connect with you, happy to do that. So this past week, my sons were in a poetry reciting, not contest, but just like a poetry recital at school. And McCarthy, who's 7, he only had a couple lines to recite and did well. And Jennings, who is 9, he had a couple more lines. He had 8 or 9 lines to remember, and he did well as well. However, it was a much more difficult poem. And he got up on stage, and he had his hands in his pockets, kind of slumped over. He spoke fairly quietly into the microphone and sped through it. And this kid was in pain. He did not want to be up there. He did not want to be up there, and he wanted it to be over as fast as humanly possible. Super, super uncomfortable. And in a way, as his parent, I kind of wanted to rescue him from that situation. You don't have to do this, Jennings. You don't have to go up there and recite this poem. I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable. I know you're going to not really want to do it. So don't worry about it. And if you're listening to this and you're a parent, you probably would be like, no, that's the worst thing you could do. And we sort of instinctually know this, right? And it would be not a good thing to do. And I didn't do that. But we know this because it's the way that the universe is built, right? The universe is built on trial, tribulation. Pain equals growth. Think about you talking with your friends, you bragging about, my dad, he was pretty tough on me. Yep. He made me do chores every Saturday morning. We were getting up. We couldn't watch any TV until we did this or that. And he was just a tough disciplinarian, but it made me the man that I am today, or whatever. Kids, I hear this all the time with adults bragging about the trials that they have gone through by their parents. And caveat here, I'm talking about a healthy parent-child relationship, of course. But yeah, we see that. Wow, I'm glad my dad was kind of tough on me there. I'm glad my dad didn't let me slack off. I'm glad that my mom made me get all my homework done. I'm glad my mom made me eat my vegetables and brush my teeth so that I still have teeth now. These things that were trials as kids, we now see the point of. We now see the benefit of. We see that pain brought growth. My brother-in-law, he's a United States Marine. He's out of the Corps now, but he was a Marine. And he went to 2 tours of Afghanistan. And those guys went through some major trials, right? Not only through boot camp, but through tours of duty. And he came out of there a completely different person, right? He went in there like pretty much directionless punk kid and came out an adult. He's married now. Child. He's got his engineering degree, working for a really top-notch construction firm, commercial construction firm, and just major period of growth. And that growth, I don't know what kind of results he'd have if he had not gone through those trials. But those trials absolutely formed him, and they call it the Crucible, right? In basic training, because it's supposed to melt you down and make you better, right? Recreate you into something new. We see it with hitting the gym, right? You want to be big. You want to be stronger. You want to be more muscular. You're not going to get that by laying on the couch, not having any pain. You got to do the squats. You got to be sore. You gotta be uncomfortable, right? You may even have to work through some injuries. You're gonna have to eat foods that you don't really like. You got to set down the pizza and pick up the salad, and that's not fun, right? But we know that that's how life works. I got chickens, right? I got chickens in my backyard. When a chick is being born, it has to peck through its shell. It has to break through the shell on its own. It has to struggle. It has to build and develop those muscles, because if you break open the shell and try to help the chick out so that it doesn't have to go through that struggle and pain, that chick will die. It won't be strong enough to survive life because it didn't go through that little crucible of breaking out of the shell. So life is built on trials, and pain equals strength and benefit. And yet we lose sight of that so often. Pain also protects us from further error. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you get a little bit of pain as a feedback mechanism, it can protect you from major pain. There's a disease called leprosy. You may have heard of it. But leprosy, it's kind of like a rotting of your skin. And one of the terrible side effects of it is it deadens your pain nerves. So you could cut your hand and not notice it. It's not painful, and it's not taken care of, and it's not protected, right? You know, when you cut yourself, like you're careful about that area. You want to wash it. You want to clean it. You want to keep it protected. You don't want to hit it again. You don't want to make it worse. Whereas with leprosy, one of the side effects is there is no pain mechanism there. And so that injury can get re-injured and re-injured until, people are losing limbs because they're just not feeling the pain. And that's how critical pain is in the body as a function. It's a feedback mechanism. You hit your knee on the desk and it hurts. It's like, oh man, or you whack your shin on a coffee table. It hurts and you wish that it didn't happen and you wish you weren't feeling that pain. But at the same time, it's your body telling you, listen, you hit your shin, it hurt. If you break your shin, it's going to really hurt. And so you don't jump off that cliff. You don't do that cliff diving without checking for the rocks because you don't want to break your shin in half. You have no idea how excruciating that would be, because you know how bad it hurts when you hit your shin on the coffee table. And that's how pain is working. It's giving you direction. It's protecting you from further error. So we have an apartment complex that we bought, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, and it got off to a bad start. We hired the wrong contractor. He went way over budget. He took forever. We were 90 to 100 days into this project, and we were over budget by 150 grand, and we'd only gotten 3 units completed, like totally completed. There was other ones partially done, and you just can't do that. In my business, you have to get in there, hit these units quick, get them online, get your rent rolls up, and you definitely got to stay in budget. And it's kind of a blow and go type construction project. And if you get behind, it can really cause serious ramifications because the clock is ticking with your investors' money. We've got interest only loans that are going to turn into not interest only loans, and they've got to be refinanced on timelines. Like, time is of the essence. So I'm getting feedback and I'm getting pain and I'm getting stressed out about this and worried about this. And I've got to do something, right? And that's what I'm talking about, is because if I am not feeling that pain, if I'm not feeling that stress, and I'm seeing it as a bad thing, and I'm trying to shove it down or avoid it or not deal with it, instead of, let me embrace this pain. Let me jump into the books. Let me meet with the contractor. Like, let's fire the contractor. Let's get the new contractor. Let's get this thing going. Let's go through some emotional turmoil and let's get this project back on track. And if you don't do that, or if I had not done that, I could be 8, 9, 10 months down the road, and now I'm way over budget. There's no coming back from it. We're not going to finish on time. We're not even going to finish. We're out of money. And then we can't refinance. We can't get the right valuation to sell it. And worst case scenario, we lose the building. We lose the investors' money. That's, if you let it get bad enough, right? That's like you jumped off the cliff and hit the rocks and broke your leg in half versus, hey, you just bumped your shin on the table. Like, adjust, stop doing that. So taking that pain as feedback, taking the things in your life as feedback is a great way to alter your course and say, okay, this is feedback. I shouldn't keep going along this path. I've got to change something, because everything happens for you. Everything happens for you, not everything happens to you. A lot of times we think, why did this happen to me? Why is this happening? This isn't my fault. This is a bad thing. And I've had another episode that I talk about thought auditing and how nothing in life is good or bad until we assign a thought to it that makes it good or bad. And we can choose our thoughts. And so everything happens for you versus to you is just choosing your thought about the situation, right? So the contractor went over budget is a bad thing. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, because it gave me feedback. It forced me to look into the project. It forced me to see some things there, and it forced me to replace him and find a new guy. And it also is going to make me a lot more careful on the next round in choosing my contractor, and it's going to make me better, stronger, and more of a wise apartment investor. So was it a bad thing? Not really. I mean, part of me wishes it didn't happen because I didn't want to go through that pain, but nothing was lost there, right? Everything happens for me. Same thing. I mean, I made a few investments. I bought these businesses that I thought were going to work and they were going to make a lot of money for me and it was going to be great. They just turned into a headache, costing me money, costing me effort, attention, time. Never really turned a profit and just was written off as a total loss. You know, lost quite a bit of money in this venture. And part of me is like, man, I wish I had never done that. And yet nothing is lost, right? I am a lot more wise now with what I'm going to invest in. I'm a lot more wise with understanding everything you do takes time, attention, and focus. And focus is the crown jewel. And don't get unfocused and stay focused on the things that you should be focused on versus chasing shiny objects, right? Chasing a shiny object there and I got burned. And so I'm a lot more judicious and I'm just continuing to get better, embracing it, learning from it. And that goes to my next point there is, if we don't own the pain, we're going to be destined to repeat it. If we don't own the scenario, embrace the scenario, learn from the pain, learn from the trial, then we're going to repeat it, right? If you hit your leg and you don't move the coffee table or turn on the light so you can see the coffee table or just walk a wide circle around the coffee, you're going to keep hitting your shin on the coffee table. And that is not the purpose of pain. I mean, it's going to keep happening to force you to learn, to force you to change. But I think that we're meant and destined to adapt, right? To take the trial, to take the lessons, to recognize this is happening for us and not to repeat it. I kind of see life as a progression through grades. You know, when you're a kid, you're learning the basics and you're going through first grade and second grade, third grade, you know, and as you get into your 20s and you're going through school and getting your career going and whatever you're doing, you know, that's like third, fourth, fifth grade. And I don't want to keep repeating grades. And when you don't learn the lessons, when you don't own it, when you don't own your mistakes, own the pain, what's happening to you, and make significant changes so that you can avoid that in the future, then you're just going to repeat fifth grade. Do you know anyone in your life that just seems to repeat fifth grade over and over and over and over again? They make the same mistakes because they're not their fault. You know, they're somebody else's fault. Oh, well, if this hadn't happened, then that wasn't my fault. If this guy just he screwed me over, and you know, you can't control that. It is what it is. I hate that saying. It is what it is. I mean, I guess there's some truth to it, but it's kind of a passive view. Life happens to me and there's nothing I can do about it. And it is what it is. And I just accept my lot in life as the little weakling that I am. That's sort of my take on it. Maybe that's a little extreme, but I see people that are passively letting life happen to them. And life is trying to teach them lessons. Life is trying to throw trials at them so that they can get better. And yet they keep maxing out their credit cards. They keep laying on the couch. It's like, hey, you get a wake up call of you got high cholesterol, you got heart disease. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. And they keep sitting on the couch and watching TV versus making a change. It's like, that's a warning sign, right? That's pain to say you need to change something. You need to adapt. You need to grow. And if you refuse to grow, you will be destined to repeat these lessons over and over and over and over again. This is why mindset work is so crucial and critical, because it's really hard to see that sometimes. It's really hard to see and own the areas that we need to change, the areas that we need to grow without an outside influence, right? Without a mentor of sorts. Mentors have been super valuable in my life, to showing me I'm repeating the same year and the same decisions over and over and over again. And that's why my growth is limited. I'm not getting out of 5th grade. So, guys, that's what I have for you today. Pain and suffering is how we grow. Life is built around it. Pain protects us from further error, and everything is happening for you versus to you, but only if you own it and you learn from it. So guys, don't repeat 5th grade this year, and remember to unlock your life. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.